Hey guys, Jacob here. Another project, another video. This time I want to show you my new app designed for Samsung devices with an S Pen, which allows you to control your phone using S Pen air gestures. But before we get to the app itself, I wanted to say a huge thank you to the Reddit community focused around Samsung for the warm reception of my previous S Pen motion game Beer Hunt. I'm extremely pleased. Thanks to your engagement, the game has been downloaded over 8,000 times, which is an amazing result for a such small game, especially considering it only works on a few devices. Thank you for all the screenshots, comments, both positive and critical, and for the ideas. And speaking of ideas, one of the most frequent comments under the post about Beer Hunt was, "Can you make an app like this, but for controlling the mouse on the phone?" And so, I return after a few months with an answer. Yes, I can. PenMouse S is an app that uses the gyroscope located in the S Pen to control the mouse on the screen. Actually, it's surprising that this isn't a standard feature on the phone. However, there are certain downsides. App uses the S Pen Remote SDK, which was abandoned by Samsung about 5 years ago. Because it's forgotten and hasn't been updated for a long time, it works just okay. There are slight input lag. Sometimes it might not establish a connection, sometimes it might disconnect, and the control itself isn't very precise. Due to Android limitations, all gestures performed with the S Pen are also deferred, meaning they only trigger after the gesture has been completed, rather than during its execution. You can see an example of this in the video now. Another system limitation is that I couldn't add a hover effect or support for the right clicking. The app only simulates finger taps on the screen. Fortunately, on Android, these additional interactions aren't really essential. The app will work only on Samsung devices equipped with an S Pen that supports air actions, meaning from the Note 10 up to the S24 Ultra, and the Galaxy tabs that have an S Pen. The latest flagship, the S25 Ultra, got rid of all the Bluetooth functions from the stylus, so unfortunately, this app will not work there. But enough about the downsides. Let's move on to the app itself. I will present it from the beginning as if you have just downloaded it and launched it for the first time. This will also serve as a user manual for those who already have it. Upon the first launch of the app, you will see a welcome screen with information about the app and a brief instruction. We won't focus on this here, because that's what this video is for. This is the main screen. Here you can see 4 steps for enabling the mouse function. Unfortunately, the app uses quite specific system functions, so you need to prepare your phone beforehand. But don't worry, this is a one-time setup and won't be required on subsequent uses. Let's start with the first step, disabling system S Pen functions. If you use the S Pen, you probably know it has standard system gestures, controlling media, opening the camera, going back to the home screen, etc. Due to its imperfect design, S Pen Remote doesn't detect that PenMouse S is using the S Pen if the application isn't actively displayed, which causes the mouse and the system gestures to overlap. To prevent this, you need to deactivate all the system gestures on your phone. The instruction here describes how to do this, and there is also a video that shows step by step what needs to be disabled. I will do it now as well to show you, but in fast motion. The next step is spinning the app so that the system doesn't kill it when it's in the background, and the mouse can continue to work. This step is optional if you only want to use the mouse for a short while. You don't need to do it then. And the most important required step, enabling accessibility services. Unfortunately, Android doesn't offer any way to simulate a system mouse, so certain workarounds are necessary. The downside of this is that it requires special permission granted by the user to the app. Android warns you here that the app has access to all the screen content, which is fair, you should take care of your privacy. But rest assured, PenMouse S doesn't use accessibility for anything other than displaying the cursor and simulating touches. It does not read or share screen content. It's also worth mentioning here that the app is free, contains no microtransactions or premium features, and is open source, so you can check on GitHub yourself that this app does nothing malicious. Okay, that's all. Now we can launch AirMouse. We will also be asked about enabling notifications. These are silent background notifications that don't display a banner but inform with the icon about the cursor status. I will mention more about this later in the settings. In the settings, we can change the mouse sensitivity to make it move slower or faster. We can change the time after which the cursor will be hidden. The default time is 10 seconds. You can extend it up to 5 minutes or even disable it. Let's change it to 5 seconds and not move the S Pen to see the hiding in action. When the cursor is hidden, just move the S Pen to make it reappear. PenMouse S uses the gyroscope, which consumes a lot of the S Pen battery. So to save battery, the app will turn off the gyroscope 1 minute after the cursor is hidden. This means the cursor won't react to the S Pen movements. To restore cursor functionality, just click the button on the S Pen and movements will continue to be sent to the app. We can also change the cursor size and its icon. These are the 3 basic options to choose from, and we can also set our own custom icon from the files. Lower there are notification settings. The app sends 3 notifications. One when it's functioning normally, one when the cursor is hidden, and one when the cursor is sleeping, meaning it doesn't respond to the movements. From the notification, we can reopen the app or stop the mouse function. Even lower there are links if you would like to support me with donation, for which I'm very grateful, as well as a link to the Beat Hunt game, and at the very bottom, links to the GitHub. At the top in the toolbar, there is a button to reset settings to their default values. And what can we do with the mouse itself? Basically, everything you would normally do on your phone. We can navigate the screen, use apps, and even draw if someone is a masochist. But I also see some practical applications. For example, controlling the phone when connected to a screen via HDMI. In this case, the phone is close to the monitor or TV, so we can use the S Pen to control a movie being displayed there, or to give a presentation. Here you can also use the S Pen as a pointer. If you find any other interesting uses, you can let me know in the comments. You can download the app from the Play Store and from GitHub. On GitHub, you can also report any bugs you encounter. So, have fun using the app and showing off to your friends what your phone can do. See you in the next video, sometime in the future. Bye!